Thank you, Kevin. And it's a pleasure for me to be here to take part in this TVET e-convention. MIC being a technical institute for the last 45 years of its existence, always working towards training and development of the youth to fulfill their obligations in the economy and in Trinidad and Tobago. Here at MIC, we take pride in knowing that we have played our part or continue to play our part in the industrial development of the young people of Trinidad and Tobago. Over the 45 years, we have grown exponentially in terms of our training services to Trinidad and Tobago in terms of engineering craft programs, technician programs, and even postgraduate engineering programs. Today, and just recently this week, MIC would have received a conferment by the Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago for 5 years. That is a milestone achievement for us as an institution, and we're very proud of that. And we are proud to be associated with NTA in this activity. I think this activity augurs well for TVET in the industry. NTA is setting the pace, providing the leadership to take TVET forward. So I'm very proud to be part of this e-convention. So good afternoon to all of those who are listening via online. I welcome you, and I hope that I can do justice to some of the things that we'll be speaking on this evening, which is the new modes of training in the workplace. The COVID-19 has resulted in schools closed all across the world. Globally, millions of children are out of a classroom. As a result, education has changed dramatically with the distinctive rise of e-learning, whereby teaching is undertaken online or remotely on digital platforms or by distance learning. Research suggests that online learning has been shown to increase retention of information and takes less time. This will mean an irreversible change in the way we teach and learn. With this sudden shift from the classroom in many parts of the globe, some are wondering whether the adoption of online learning will continue to persist post-pandemic and how such a shift would impact the worldwide education market. And this is what we'll explore this evening. Whether it is a language app students are using or staff, virtual tutoring, video conferencing tools, or online learning software, there's been a significant surge in usage since COVID-19. We believe at MIC that the integration of information technology in education will be further accelerated, and that online education will eventually become an integral component of school education. This is the future, folks. This is what we have to adapt to in converting our TVET schools, institutions, and colleges to this new norm. What does this mean for the future of learning? At MIC, we are developing a new learning management system, a hybrid, one will say, a model of education. This involves a multifaceted approach to teaching and learning. This new learning management system will span many different forms of online modes of training, and it will be integrated through several different platforms. There have already been a successful transition amongst many of universities worldwide. We have seen, and I went to, when doing the research for this presentation, I researched a university in China because we are all hearing that this whole COVID experience started in China. And I wanted to see what China was doing that will provide change. And what China actually did in the first 2 weeks of this COVID experience that they experienced there, their universities, college, and institutions took 2 weeks to transition to all courses online. I know in Trinidad we might take 2 months, but in China they took 2 weeks. That's how fast the transition was needed to make the change in light of COVID. In China, they use a ding talk, what they are now calling a smart campus. I think in the future for Trinidad and for technical institutes and institutes like MIC, COSTAT and YTEP, all of us have to work towards converting our institutions to smart campuses. That is the new norm, and we can't get away from it. Virtual teaching enables lecturers to reach out to their students through different forms and modes of training, through group chats, video meetings, and also document sharing, especially during this pandemic. We believe that traditional offline learning and e-learning can go hand in hand. What I've put up here, and it brings us to the point, is for us to assess different modes of online training. How do we deliver this online that we are hearing people talking about? You will see in this slide, I mentioned different modes. We talk about Google Classrooms. We spoke about Microsoft Teams, Moodle, Skype, Microsoft 365, Commonwealth of Learning, eLibrary, and how-to video tutorials. These are basically what MIC use presently. In our conversion and our attempt to convert to the online mode, we started to use some of these platforms. The Google platform, if I'm to go into it a little bit, really is a replication of a standard classroom. So when you get into a Google Classroom, what you would normally see is a blackboard that you as a teacher or instructor can use to reach out to your students or for delivery of your online program. Google, Microsoft Teams, Skype, Zoom, all of these are free softwares. So you being an instructor in a TVET institution, it's easy for you to just go online, Google Classrooms, and it will come up for you to register yourself on the platform, and you're ready to start. It's that easy. You can, again, on YouTube, there are videos on Google Classroom, how you can learn how to use this platform. And I have seen some of my instructors adapt so quickly. So using these types of platforms, that it doesn't take a rocket science. It does not take any amount of training and development for you to transition from what we call the traditional training modes to now an online mode. So in terms of Teams, Microsoft Teams, we have been using this since COVID, mainly for staff meetings, for collaborating with staff while they're at home and having meetings online. And this again is a free software. Again, you just go up online and you Google it and you register for Microsoft Teams. And it's such a easy platform to use. As an administrator, you if you want to host a meeting with your instructors, or in this case, if you're carrying out a class, what you would do is send out a link to the persons, and once they click on the link, they're in your classroom or they're in your virtual space, and you can communicate with them, talk with them on various aspects of teaching and learning. So these are very easy, they're very easy to adapt to as someone now getting into the online business in terms of transitioning from the traditional practical source of teaching and learning. You would know that in our area of TVET, you're dealing with practicals, people like plumbers, welders, carpenters, joiners, tailors, and these things are highly practice-oriented, where you have a face-to-face meet with various persons, and that is how you communicate and you transfer learning. But in an online environment, some of that could be done online, so that in MIC, we have what we call a dual system of vocational education, similar to the what we're talking here, in that theory is done in a classroom and practice is done in a workshop or lab. But in this case, the theory, which occupies 25% of the school coursework, and the practice 75%, that theory, that 25% theory, can now be done online. So you don't have to be in a classroom in a center to carry out these things. And this can be done by Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, Skype, and Moodle. MIC invested in a Moodle software, and this Moodle software, it was designed and built basically for classroom delivery of online training. So it was built specifically for that. So you find that it has many advantages and disadvantages in using the Moodle platform for doing online training, whereby Microsoft Teams and Google Classrooms and Zoom, they're all communication type platforms for communicating with persons. The Moodle, however, has an advantage that it was specifically built for teaching and learning. And it's easier to use when you get the hang of it. And going on to Microsoft 365, what we've noticed is that at MIC, that although you're using these open source type of delivery platform, training delivery platform, some of them may not always be stable. Sometimes they may just drop off. You may be talking with someone and it may just drop and you will lose connectivity. So what you need as an institution, and if you're serious about going ahead into the online delivery, you would need a more stable platform to work with. And so what MIC has done is that we acquired a Microsoft 365-degree platform. Now, what this platform does is that it gives you access to a cloud environment. So what it does is that you can put all of your programs, you could share all of your lessons, all of your content on this platform. And you have like Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint that the user could have access to. Now, there's an important point to note here in that the reason why you'd want to use a Microsoft 365 system is that it gives standardization of your content and what you're doing, what you're using on your content. What you'll notice is that even though you're operating from a remote console, sometimes your version and the teacher version may be different. And if you try to upload the teacher version, it may not work on your system. You may need to do an upgrade. And so you get complications when running your classwork. And so you would need a kind of standardized platform in which all of your work and all of your content is loaded, and it provides a very stable environment for you to carry out online delivery. So at MIC, we use this Microsoft 365. It has worked well for us. All our staff and our trainees come September will have access to go online. They will have a passcode. They go online and they access through MIC database to use this cloud system. And so if as an instructor, you want to do a lesson on Microsoft Word, you can go on this system and the software is there. So you don't really need to have a Microsoft version on your computer because you're operating from an online mode. And so it standardizes the system. Another thing that we used was the Commonwealth of Learning. And we use this as a training mode for getting our staff up to scratch on distance learning. And what the Commonwealth of Learning is, it is a governmental organization created by the Commonwealth, heads of government in 1987 to promote the development and sharing of open learning and distance education knowledge, resources and technologies, hosted by the Government of Canada with headquarters in Burnaby, British Columbia. COL, as its acronym, COL, is the world's only intergovernmental organization solely concerned with the promotion and development of distance education and open learning. So you find that even without going and expend money to assess training and development, COL is ready. It is a free learning for persons wanting to do distance learning. It operates through the Ministry of Education. You can, through your institution, apply to the Ministry of Education and they will give you access to do this training online. For anyone or any instructor or teacher wants to do this training, they can go in and do the course and you get certified after as a distance trainer, distance education trainer. We have also put in place like an e-library to help in the support of the online distance learning. So you find that students now, if they want to do research of assignments, or even the teachers want to do research in preparation of their assignments, we have gotten a license agreement for using a database of educational resource that our instructors, our teachers, our students could go on and access in preparation of their lessons, if you're a teacher or if you're a student, for researching and carrying out assignment. So this is an integral part of an online system if you're looking to go online. What we have also noticed is that they are very easy and simple things to go in online and to help make your lesson fun and exciting. And what I've seen some of the instructors done is that they use the simple smartphone, and some of these smartphones are so sophisticated, they can do a very nice video. So if let's say you're a plumber and you are accustomed doing the traditional way, let's say you're installing a toilet system, and you're accustomed with students around you and you're demonstrating how that is done. Now, in this way, as an instructor, you can set up your iPhone, maybe on a tripod, to videotape you demonstrating how this is done. And you create that video. And that video can be uploaded into your lesson, as part of your lesson for delivery on toilet systems. And the same thing with carpentry and joinery. So you don't need any big sophisticated media system for you to actually do this type of a training. There's simple and effective ways that it can be done. The 21st century TVET ecosystem is the new learning architecture, and sometimes you will see that you need a combination of those types of systems through virtual reality, through different forms of reaching out to the students. At MIC, what we have seen is that we have gone to a virtual welding at MICIT, and this was maybe about 10 years ago. We didn't know at that point in time it would have been the thing to do. So And what we had done back then is that we have seen that welding was a dangerous process and people can get hurt if they don't know what they're doing. And so you needed a preparation of the welding process to expose the trainee to how welding is done. And so you're almost like you're doing a simulation of the process, so that what that does, it cuts down on the time, it cuts down on materials that you use. You learn the techniques in welding online, so that when you reach the welding booth, you're halfway there already. You're not starting from scratch. And so this reduced our cost, because we at that time thought that welding was an expensive course to run. And it was one of the most expensive courses in MIC list of courses that we provide. And so by using this virtual welding system, it reduced our cost considerably. And you'll find that if you go to that next level of virtual learning, your institution can reduce its costs. You might have a higher capital cost up front, but down the road, it will be reduced. Now, you may ask yourself, after all of this, how do I choose the best option? How do I know what to do? Well, picking the right virtual training method for your trainee students does not always involve just deciding over the most innovative or latest trend. As a leader of a training project, you should ask yourself the following questions. What are the training goals? What are the target audience? What type of content is being presented? What knowledge or skills are needed to be developed? What is the infrastructure that your company actually has or your institution actually has? What type of media or device does the target audience use on a daily basis? And all of these must be considered before you decide on the mode or the method or the type of training delivery that you're going to embark upon. So different virtual training modalities can make the best decision for your institution. So e-learning, what we have come up, and I'm only talking about a few here. All right, let's see, let me go back. All right, so e-learning, so I've come up with 4 types. So I'm going to talk about four different types. And the one that MIC use. We use an electronic learning system also. So it's a combination of e-learning, blended learning, mobile learning, and ubiquitous learning. So those are the 4 areas that we felt are best suited for what our environment. So under e-learning, it's self-paced, it's web-based learning approach in which participants use technology to access the training. No instructor is involved. It is delivered asynchronously. Students have control over the time, place, or pace. So in a system like that, you will set up on your database, on your online platform, you put all the material up there, and a student will have a passcode that can access that anywhere at any time. Whether they're in the US, whether they're in the mall, whether they're by the beach, they can access that, that platform and learning can take place. So you get ready access to your material as a student within the system. So that's the e-learning approach. What at MIC we chose to do, because of our TVET and our practical courses, we use a blended learning approach. And the blended learning is really a hybrid approach that combines scheduled, synchronous, traditional classroom settings and asynchronous, non-scheduled virtual or digitally enabled learning. So what it did, it took both types, the one where you're doing online and the one where you're doing practice. So our system with 75% practice and 25% theory, we are revising that model. Our curriculum specialists, people are sitting and reviewing the curriculum to make the changes to see if some of the practical content that you would normally do in the workshop can be done online through videos and through virtual type of training. So the blended learning is what we use and we will be using come September when our trainees come back out for training. Mobile learning delivered through a mobile device such as smartphones or tablets. That is another way in which you can reach your students. What we have seen is that sometimes you can send a lesson to a student through WhatsApp or through an email. So it don't always have to be a sophisticated system. You could communicate with the students through very simple means and get the same result. So in ubiquitous learning is the evolution of the mobile learning. It involves making training available across all channels. Anywhere and anytime, learning activities can be accessed and daily tasks can be done. So those are the four really areas that I want to talk to you about, right? But online learning goes without challenges. And I want to talk a little bit about the challenges that one may experience in doing an online sort of delivery. And it's important that you understand this because it helps to alleviate any challenges that may pop up in the future. So to overcome at MIC, our student population come from various socio-economic backgrounds. And we must appreciate the fact that some of the students are without reliable internet access and or technology and may struggle to participate in digital learning. It's a reality that we as trainers and administrators have to accept. Not everybody has a laptop. Not everybody has a sophisticated smartphone to access this type of training and development. And so consciously, you have to take that in as an institution and understand how are you going to reach to your students, so those who don't have the laptop and those who don't have the smartphones. So the gap, when I looked at the research, the gap across countries between income brackets within countries, for example, 95% of students in Switzerland, Norway, and Australia have a computer to use for their schoolwork. So they are ahead of the game. Only 34% in Indonesia, right? And this is data coming from the OECD, right? So you see that there's a big gap. And I think in Trinidad, there will be a gap, especially for persons who are socially displaced in our environment and accessing our training. There's a significant gap from those privileged and disadvantaged, and the backgrounds are different. So we have to take that into consideration. So how do we do this? One of the things we do was adapting to the online delivery. And this is what MIC is presently doing. MIC has decided to revisit and upgrade to a newly designed online curriculum, and that is presently taking place. We're transforming all our curriculum material for all our programs, all our courses to this online mode. As far as it can take it, as far as it can receive the online delivery. So there's a theory, there's a virtual, there's a practical modules of the program. So what we have done is upskill our instructors for online delivery. So right now, as we speak, we have 250 instructors doing online training throughout our program. So that is in readiness and preparedness for online in September. But when the thousands of trainees come out, these instructors will be faced with them. And most of them may be home, right? So we have to learn to reach them. And how do we communicate? It's by upskilling our instructors in these various platforms, these various modes of delivery, so that they develop the competencies to reach the students effectively. What we've also done is develop a rotation for our practice training. So we recognize that students must do practice, can't get away from that. they have to do practice. And so it's about scheduling and enforcing the distancing regulation by the Ministry of Health. So, you know, they've said, okay, it can't be you have to be 6 feet apart. So, you know, you can't have a class with 20 persons again, or 25 persons. Now you have to have a class with maybe less than 10 persons, or maybe 6 to 10 persons. So in any one day, you can only train 6 to 10 persons in a particular class. So you now have to schedule, rotate your students for who would be in that classroom at that particular time. So while some are doing online, some could be doing practice in the classroom, and then maintaining the distancing regulation by the Ministry of Health. So rotation is an effective way to get around the training. And this by itself is an innovation. You can we use our HSC department to help guide us in this, in terms of how do we set up the classroom, how do we set up the labs, how do we set up the workshop to ensure that distancing regulations are enforced and teachers are well aware of it when carrying out a practical class in the workshop. Is learning online effective? This is a question a lot of people ask. Is it effective? Yes, for those who have access to the right technology, there's evidence that learning online can be more effective in a number of ways. Some research shown that an average student retains 25 to 60% more material when learning online compared with 8 to 10% in a classroom. This is mostly due to students being able to learn faster online. So the research has shown online learning is really better in some regards, not in all regards, in some regards. So e-learning requires 40% to 60% less time to learn than in a traditional classroom setting. Students can learn at their own pace, going back and reading, rereading, skipping, or accelerating through concepts as they choose. So it's not like a one and done. If you don't understand a concept, you can repeat that video or that class session over and over and over until you understand it. So these are some of the techniques: adapting to the curriculum, upskilling of instructors, new rotation. Now, in closing, I want to highlight some of the things that MIC we are doing. Adapting to the online medium and most innovation ways possible is the only way forward. And I say that without any malice. Is the only way forward. You have to adapt. There's no alternative to this. You have to adapt to this online teaching and learning mode. It will bring back the students to the virtual class and engage them productively. Besides keeping continuously learning, our online learning platform has been designed to cater to the blended learning needs of the TVET space. In TVET space, both practical skilling and knowledge components are equally important. The percentage would vary depending on the nature of the job. The vision of the platform, if you're using a platform, is to leverage the technology advancement for providing skills-based learning to our trainees, even after this crisis gets over. And we don't foresee this turning anytime soon. The theoretical knowledge part has been incorporated in such a way that the trainees can access them at self-learning for the practice and hands-on training, which is important aspects of TVET. You must use the technology wherever possible. This includes using videos, which can explain everything step by step. We would have to provide training to our trainers that I spoke of on how to take online sessions. Instructors must be given access to other online platforms so that they could learn more. They themselves make use of any source, as I spoke of, using a cell phone and taping videos of practice. More and more ease, and always try to keep the trainees engaged through mediums like WhatsApp, emails, and having like WhatsApp groups. So you could have a class WhatsApp group for your classroom and your students. We'd also need to facilitate our trainees with practical training, which they can avail as per convenience in the nearest training center. We also, to cope with the crisis and still continue skilling our trainees, we have encouraged our trainers to make use of the copyright-free online learning platforms to provide training to trainees. And this I spoke on earlier in the first slide, where you have a number of these open source software that are free and can be easily adaptable to your system or your particular situation for carrying out online training. Our trainers are available for students through WhatsApp, Zoom calls, and other online mediums where they spend a couple of hours connecting with trainees and engaging them in online learning. Putting the online learning process in place, most of our efforts are directed on putting the process in place with concerted efforts towards capacity building. This includes capacity building of trainers to teach online using free tools, online teaching methodology that includes motivating and engaging students through individual interaction, and details of conducting an online session and following it up with home assignments for self-study. So this is what we've been doing at MIC. It has not been an easy task to adjust to this new norm. In fact, it has been very difficult. We have had several pushback from staff not wanting to accept this. And so it's a process that you have to keep working with staff and trying to see that, showing them that this is an easy method or methodology that they can adopt for doing their training and delivery. One of the things that we have pride ourselves on is our ability to train our own staff. And that is key to delivering an online chat. You don't want to drop your quality control by going online. So there should be some kind of quality control system for checks and balances. So even though an instructor may tape a video, it should pass through a system of quality check to ensure that it meets the standard of the institution before he puts it online to his students. So you want those set of quality control to be in place for your instructors and for your staff. You can communicate more. What I have found is that instructors and staff communicating more than before. They can meet up in groups. So like, for instance, all of our electrical instructors will meet in a group and they will discuss content. So it's not about you at this center and you delivering a content that is unique to you. You have instructors now coming together. They're agreeing on the content. They're agreeing on standardization for that particular course, and they are putting it out as a standard for their delivery. So you find it to me is less work for the instructor. So it's a win-win. So it's a win-win for instructors to be taking part in this, and moving forward with this online system. So we at MIC, we embrace this fully as one of those leading institutions in Trinidad. And 45 years of experience, we have trained many persons and successfully to fill and be part of society, play a meaningful part in society, having jobs. Some of them went on to become entrepreneurs and new innovators, setting up their own businesses. And so we feel that we are obligated as an institution to adapt to this as quickly as possible and share our knowledge as we are sharing now with other institutions to adopt to this. So I want to thank NTA. Well, I know we're not finished, but I want to thank you again for taking the initiative and for inviting us to talk to the people out there and share our information.